COVID has just kind of shown me like where I stand. And so that brings me to another thing, because we're believers, right?
Yeah.
We all have church families. Rob goes to City Church. Me and you, we were going to TC prior to the COVID. And so, TC has not been open in the past year. City Church reopened, and they've been doing their thing. Shout out to City Church. It brought me back. So it brought me to this too, because I talked to a lot of people that's gotten a lot of church hurt over the past year. Because especially having to deal with TC, and this isn't a TC Bass assessment. This is just the point of reference that I have to make is. And even with me, I really started to see where I stood, because again, you'll have those people that say, yeah, I'm just used to seeing you every Sunday. And if I saw you this past Sunday, I probably would have remembered to say something. And so a lot of people that I know feel a disconnect from the church because it has not been open in the past year. And it's not like people are calling them and hitting them up. It's almost like, this was the point of reference on which we built the connection. So outside of this, we don't really have a connection, because if I don't see you every Sunday, then it's, again, out of sight, out of mind. I don't see you every Sunday, so you're not included as much. And if you're not, and I mean, this past year has shown, like, if you're not really in the in crowd, you might not be as in the in crowd as you thought you was. Because I've even had people hit me like, yo, they letting people back in the building? I was like, I don't know. Like, anything having to do with that, I was like, bro, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. He's like, nah, because somebody posted on Instagram and they got like a whole crowd there. Maybe they sent out a private text. I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know, but they was hurt by that. They were like, but nah, I know such and such on staff, and they would have. You thought.
Yeah, you thought they would have.
You thought. So my question having to do with that is, how serious should we embrace the church family? Like, because we come up in church, and I mean, me and Rob can, attest our time at like SoFly and stuff. It started to become like a real family, where you look forward to seeing these people every Sunday. It's almost like a family reunion every single Sunday. Yeah. And then on top of that, you take it throughout the week. These are the same people you kicking it with throughout. Me and Rob met at TC, right? And I mean, I can imagine even going to, your home church before going to TC. You was telling me it was more like a family. But how serious as believers should we embrace the church family? Because, a lot of us get into it so heavy that we get hurt as if we actually share the same bloodline with these people. So how serious should we embrace the church family?
Bro? I feel like if you meet somebody at church and y'all relationship grows because of your time at church, I think you should keep in mind that, like, that's the level, like that's y'all level, like y'all are, like, essentially the name, y'all are church family or church friends, because I see you and only talk to you at church, So I think if you meet somebody at church and it stays there, then that's the level. But if it happens like mine and yours did, and it's organically it starts to go outside of church and y'all hang out and y'all exchange numbers, it's like, I think it just depends on, I don't think there's a specific way. It's based off each person. So it's like, if it grows outside of church organically to where y'all are hanging out outside of church, then I think you should pay attention to that. But if it never happens outside of church as well, like, it's just church, like, it's not like y'all aren't friends. Y'all are just like associates based off of the same interests. So it's kind of iffy. It's not like one way to do it, but that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. I don't know, when I was younger, because I came from a smaller church, it was like probably like 60 people, and I literally been going there since I was born. Like, there's a picture of my pastor holding me when I was like 5 days old, like doing dedication. Yeah, and
you did a dedication at 5 days old.
Oh, something like a week. It was something early because I was
kind of young.
Well,
I ain't never heard of it.
My parents were like, hard in Christ, you know.
Yeah.
They
So
weren't playing.
yeah, exactly. It's all right. This Sunday, the next Sunday, they're pulling up.
This baby need Jesus now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, church family was a big thing. It was like it was older adults would always hang out with my parents, and they would always have a relationship. Sometimes they would come, have coffee and then have food and just talk about life. And when you grow up with those people, it's like you kind of get a sense of family because you kind of grew up around those people. And when you see them, like, oh my God, hey sister, oh hey Alicia, how you doing? But that's something I've I guess
Man, what
embraced.
did you do with the microphone?
What?
You sound amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know what you did, bro. What'd you do?
I don't know.
Nah, bro, he sounds clearer than he's ever sounded. I don't know.
Am
I tripping?
And I think he probably was volume up or something. I don't know.
I haven't touched anything in the bro. Stop playing with me, bro. You've been doing this podcast thing too long.
Yeah.
Stop playing with me, bro.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. Stop playing.
You
bro.
learned something.
You learning something. Stop playing, bro. But nah, go ahead. My bad.
But there's some friends that you do meet, and like you always connect or get familiar with the people your age.
Yeah.
And those are the friends that you kick it with, and it's just some that you go through like youth, and you guys do all the baptisms together. Like that's the stuff you grew up with, and I feel like that kind of connection grows you guys really closer because you guys were walking in faith together. But life happens when you guys get older. You guys just separate. Some person might just leave a church, or some person just might go to another church. Church family. Well, I feel like there'll always be family because it's just you just spend so much time together and so much intimate things and so personal.
And forgive me because maybe no. Y'all answered the question perfectly, but I just thought of how of a more clear way I was wanting to ask that question. Just the priority that a church family takes in your life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the priority. So, I know a lot of people that, again, they love being at their church so much that, again, that was their priority.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even over their, own family. And so when they leave or something happens, they take everything to the next level. Like I was just talking to somebody, and they said they made a move. They moved out of state, and they came back, and their pastor, they felt like their pastor didn't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happened.
And I was like, yo, what did that person do to make you feel like you didn't? It was just a feeling. It just felt like they didn't approve of what I was doing. I was like, so they still said, what's up? Yeah. They still gave you a hug? Yeah. But it just wasn't, I just felt out of the loop. So I was like, yo, that's the type of power we give people that, I ain't grow up with none of these niggas, man. What does that even matter? Like, I wouldn't even thought to even think that far into it. I would think of a pastor the same way I would think of a homie. Like, I ain't seen you in a while, so I don't expect you to just be shooting a breeze. We've been in two separate spaces in life, but I had to recollect coming up in So Fly. Like, a lot of people took P. Mike's words as like law.
Yeah.
That was it. And so it's almost like a lot of people take it as like another father figure. So, when you do something that wasn't approved of, or you kind of went a separate way than what you were advised to, you felt that, and you carried the disappointment that you felt like these people at these churches put on you, as if your own father was disappointed with you. And I was telling somebody, I've had the privilege of like never really feeling like, I'm not gonna say the privilege, but I never really felt like I've just fit in just to one space. Having to move around New Orleans, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, here, and then just not being a social butterfly at all. Like, I've always had different pockets of friends where it was like, bro, I don't know how you hang out with them, and the other group of friends, like, I don't know why you hang out with them, right? And so I've never really felt like I just fit into one place. So I've never really put a lot of stock into how one group of people feel about me. And so but I can understand, like, in the church, especially serving and being in there, how people get that way, because this is where they belong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially if you don't have a sense of belonging prior to that. Like, if you don't really have a sense of family prior to that, they become your family and you take it on as family. Like, yo, these people could care less about what I got going on. I've just always really approached the church family in that way. Like, you know, we come in, we congregate, we build, but I didn't grow up with none of these people.
Yeah.
They can honestly care less about what I got going on, you know, unless it's mess, then that's a topic of discussion. But that's why I cling to people like Rob. You know, P was my dog before TC. Matt was my dog before TC. But like a lot of the outside of Rob, the people that are closest to me were close to me prior to TC. And so that had little to nothing to do with why we're close now. And even me and Rob, like, again, that relationship just organically spawned outside of TC. You know what I mean? Like, it just did. And so I'm thankful I never really fell into the trap of, you know, this is my family now.
Yeah.
These are the only people that care about me. No, half these people don't give a damn about me.
Yeah.
In real life. And a lot of people had to find that out the hard way. And a lot of people are starting to have had to find that out during this time, when they don't get invited to the Sunday services, when they're not getting invited to certain events. Like, the feeling that I was feeling when I didn't get invited to this event, these are things that people have been feeling all year.
Yeah.
And nobody really talks about how, you know, these churches, they take you in, they make you feel like family, and as soon as things go awry and you handle them any type of way, you know, because the accountability falls on the churches as well. Like, nobody talks about the church hurt from that side of it, where, you know, these churches, they bring you in, they make you feel like family. As soon as you do something opposite of what they approve of, they just act like you don't exist. It's toxic church culture. And there are churches that are like that. There are pastors like that.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, there's truth to that for sure. But at the same time, I think the biggest issue with just our generation is our foundation is in our church and is in our pastor. So once that gets shaky, our foundation was never in God in the first place.
That's good.
It was in a person that was able to relate. Wow, I look crazy.
I know.
I look crazy. No, but it's in it's in a person more than it is in God.
Yeah.
So, and that's pros and cons of going to a small church that becomes big, or that it's pros and cons in going to just a small church in general, is that it's very personable. Like, just like you said, growing up, like I grew up in a church where it was probably about 200 of us, but like, we all lived in the hood, like, we all knew each other. So like, it felt like, man, y'all really care about me. And in reality, most of y'all do, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just it's like familiarity. So it does go in the church, but at the same time, if you haven't found your foundation in God for you and outside of Sundays, then that church hurt. You can't fully put it on the church, because the church is doing their job. They're making you feel welcome. They're making you feel like family. Like, come as you are. Like, we want you here. But you have to sustain God for you.
Yeah.
We're just here to kind of give you a little push to start your week type of thing, you know. So it's pretty tough, but yeah.
I echo that, bro. Like, and this is what I ended up telling somebody I was talking to about this topic. I said, look, at the end of the day, it can be Mike, it can be Stephen Furtick, it can be John Gray, it can be whoever that people have put on this plateau. That's their fault. That's the person's fault.
Yeah.
I was like, when people get butthurt about something that Mike do or don't do, I don't pay attention. It's like, bro, you giving him power he don't even know he got. Or you giving this particular pastor power that they don't even know that they, or whether they know they have it or not. It's like, you still giving that power to them.
Yeah.
The fact that you care that much about what they think about what you're doing, it gives them that power. So yeah, they some of the responsibility falls on them, but I'm always gonna put the responsibility on the person that's attending. Like, you just read into that too much, or you put your identity in the church that you were going to. versus just creating your own identity outside
Yeah.
of the church, because you're a person outside of this church, whether you go to this church or the church up the street. You still got to be that same person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always ask myself, because like sometimes you can catch yourself having that kind of like clinging on to identity. I always ask myself, okay, like what would happen if TC disappeared, or what would happen if a church I grew up with just disappeared? Like, who am I? Like, what would my relationship look like?
Who am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out,
So,
Daddy.
Yeah.
I maybe thought about that.
I couldn't help it.
yeah, I just always said just to like keep myself reminded,
Right.
just keep myself to always make sure my focus is on the relationship I have with God, not the relationship I have with the church right now. Yeah.
That's an absolute fact. That's an absolute fact. We a little passing hour. Any other jewels of wisdom that you guys want to share as far as people separating their identity from the church? Any tips, words of wisdom on how you can I'm sorry, any words or tips of wisdom on how you can constantly keep your identity separated from the church, not getting yourself too wrapped up into what church you go to versus just who you are as a person? Any tips on that? Both guys who have went from one church to another church and had to make that transition.
Oh man. Like I said, I would just say, just pretend or just eliminate just the church in the whole. Just like, I don't know, just like picture yourself in the middle of nowhere, and like, what does your relationship with God look like in that scene? I would say don't rely on too much on people, on the church.
Yeah.
Don't rely on the pastor. Don't rely on the people that you're surrounded with, because I mean, like it says in the word, like you're supposed to put your whole trust in heart, or put your trust in the Lord with all your heart, and not in like the pastor or the church, because a lot of people can let you down. So I would just say keep your focus on God, no matter
That's good, brother.
what people would say or do to you.
That's good.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, there's a lot of practical ways to do so, but it's all based on you. But I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like you got to find your identity in God. Like you have to find out who you are and like what you're looking for, from God. Like what's your purpose, or like what's your calling. It's all about self-reflection. Like you have to know who you are in God, and not who you are in your church. Just make sure that you and God has a relationship over you and your church.
Gotcha. That's good, brother. And I would echo these two gentlemen. For Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them." That's not Pastor Stephen Furtick. That's not Pastor John Gray, Michael Todd, not the pastor on 31st and Garnett, not the pastor on 81st and Lewis, not the pastor you grew up with, not your mammy, not your pappy.
Yeah.
God created you, so he first and foremost is who you should put your identity in. That's good, fellas. And I would say the same thing. At the end of the day, in church, gangs, your job, your sport that you play, whatever you create your identity through, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Who are you without this person? Who are you without this church? Even your own family. Who are you if your family wasn't your family? Who are you is just you. Find yourself, love yourself is the theme of this podcast. And, once we get to doing that, like these gentlemen have said, I think you're on the right track. But first and foremost, understand who you are. Because churches change. You change churches. You change cities. You change. Life is ever evolving, but the core of you, the soul of you, has to stay the same. And if you don't know that person, then you're just gonna change from one person to the next. You're gonna go from one, like Majin Buu. Majin Buu went from baby Buu to big Buu that couldn't speak a word, to baby Buu that was just bad, to a full grown Buu that was just a bully. Like, bro ain't know which Buu he wanted to be. It was just all depending on who he was fighting, right? But the soul of you is what counts, man, and it shouldn't be wrapped up on what any man says, more or less a pastor. That's how you eliminate church hurt. Understand who you are first. So that was good, gentlemen, man. Shout out to Moses and Rob, bro. This is yeah. And we praying for you, man. If you experience church hurt in this time, feeling separated, feeling out of the loop, feeling like even your relationship with God has been strained because you don't have the same relationship with, the people in your building, man. I get it. I know a lot of people that's not going back to the church they were at before COVID. And so, it is a healing process, but try not to take it all too personal, man, at the end of the day. Oh, that was going to be my final word. Church is a business. And as I was telling some, church is business.
Fortune 500 company.
Church is business. They got disgruntled employees as well as they got disgruntled. Church is business. So the same way that you would approach your work family, it's kind of, you don't trust anybody at work that much. Don't put that same, because church is business. As long as money is flowing in and out of that, church is business. And you can't be surprised when you get handled like business.
Yeah.
Hope that don't go over your head. Church is business. That doesn't take the relationship out of it. That doesn't take God out of it. It just puts it in perspective. Yeah. If you're not adding and just taking away, you got to know where you fall on the totem pole. You hear me? So church is business. Remember that when you're talking about family. Church is business. Family is just family. You ain't gonna make that much money off of family unless you just put everybody in the position, and unless you the Wayans, this is hard to come by.
Facts.
Right? Family, that's what be straining people. It's like, man, I'm doing all this and I ain't getting nothing out of it, right? Church is business. So let that be that. Man, shout out to the Reach Over Culture podcast, man. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in, man. If you made it this far, shout out to you, bro. Yeah. You heard? And we're going to continue, man. We actually going to run a part 2 of this. We're going to get into friends, supporting friends. So make sure you tune in next week to the Reach Over Culture podcast. If you're on YouTube, don't leave comments about us about to be wearing the same thing.
Scrub.
Because this is about to be a follow-up. So, respectfully, you.
Respect.